Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what this interview is. I've been promoting it, I've been pushing it out like crazy. But guys, this man needs no introduction. He is Uncle Vinrock of Naughty by Nature, East Orange, New Jersey's own. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How you doing? Big shout out to your whole audience out there.
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I first and foremost want to say, Vinrock, I've been a huge fan for a very long time. So thank you so much for years of amazing hip-hop.
All right. We appreciate that love and support.
But I gotta ask you, man, like taking you way back to the beginning, like how did yourself, Tretch, and DJ KG actually get connected? What's the story behind the new style, now known as everyone as the Naughty by Nature?
Yeah, well, everything began right here in our hometown of Illtown, East Orange, New Jersey. We were basically childhood friends. So we went to junior high together, high school together, but everything, kind of merged and happened in high school. So at the time in 1987, KG was a senior in high school. Tretch and I were juniors, and K wanted to participate in his senior class talent show. So, I used to beatbox for KG and beatbox for Tretch, and I kind of brought Tretch around to KG and told K I had an LMC, and hey, we assembled for that first talent show. It went over well, and lo and behold, we tried to make it as the group called the New Style. That was our high school group. But once that didn't work out, we eventually ran into Queen Latifah, who's also from our hometown of East Orange, New Jersey. So her career had taken off. She and her partner, Shoutouts, began Flavor Unit Management. They signed us around 1990, and man, the rest is history. We changed the name to Naughty by Nature, signed to Tommy Boy Records, and we were off.
And I gotta ask, with Queen Latifah, man, when you guys first got connected with her when her career first started off, could you see the potential and how big she would be? Because she's now a household name.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, we all came up together. Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature, Redman, the Artifacts, Lords of the Underground, the Fugees, all of us were fledgling, local acts trying to make it. So we all saw the potential in each other. And when Latifah, she got down with the Flavor Unit, and she was down with the Native Tongues, which is De La Soul and Trop Quest and Cool DJ Red Alert, we always knew she had that special glow about her. And, she was a no-nonsense chick back then in the street. So we always knew she could hold her own and she would take no short. And, she had her mother, which was a great guiding figure in her life. So we definitely knew Latifah was on her way.
And also, one of my favorite albums by you guys is your self-titled record, which helped me get through some terrible times in my life. But I have to ask you, what's the story behind that record? Because, not a lot of groups really be able to have the opportunity to receive a platinum plaque from their very first record.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the song in particular you're talking about is Everything's Gonna Be Alright. It was also dubbed Ghetto Bastard, And it was really like an autobiography of Tretch because, when he was in high school, he was going through problems with his mom. It was he and his mom at home with his brother, younger brother, and they lived in very humble dwellings, And with Tretch running the streets and his mom's needing help, she kind of clashed with him, and he just left, And Tretch literally used to wander the streets with a knapsack. He came over to 18th Street where KG and I was. Eventually, his aunt took him in, and he started staying with us on 18th Street. So we had that family vibe, and, he had a third floor. It was like his first solo bedroom in his aunt's house, and that's where he really wrote that first album. So that song, Ghetto Bastard, Everything's Gonna Be Alright, he was reflecting on his own personal life and his come-up. And, obviously a lot of people, it resonated with a lot of people, and they were able to draw parallels to their own lives, and that's why that record took off, man. So, yeah, O.P.P, and Everything's Gonna Be Alright, and Uptown Anthem as our third single off of our first album. So like you said, not many artists get to go double platinum on their first album, so we were blessed in that sense.
And most definitely, O.P.P is another classic, man. Jackson 5, can't go wrong with the Jackson 5 joint.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not. You know, big shout to Barry Gordy and the whole, you know, team over there as far as, you know, clearing that sample to the Jackson 5 sample. And man, that was quite a run. And even back then, like a lot of people, you know, even Run DMC, they were kind of dissing Michael Jackson because hip hop was on a come up. So it was like the big haired rock bands, and Michael Jackson was a big pop star, and that's what was really popping in music back then. But hip hop was on a come up, and a lot of people were like, "Yo, Run DMC, like it's not Michael Jackson, and this is not Thriller." And you know, that was really a diss to Michael Jackson. I'm sure they had love for him, but when we came through with the Michael Jackson 5 ABC sample, man, we changed the game with that, and you know, hip hop definitely began to embrace Michael Jackson and Prince and all of those guys even more.
And the one thing, before we move on to the topic of O.P.P., the one thing I've always wondered was, because like when you watch the music video, we kind of already know exactly what like the song's about, right? But what does O.P.P. stand for?
Well, O.P.P. stands for the safe part is other people's property, you know what I mean? But it's the ultimate song about infidelity. If you're in a relationship and you have a wandering eye and you happen to indulge, you know, you'll end up in what Jada Pinkett Smith may call an entanglement. So when you're explaining, you know, a wandering eye and getting into another relationship when you're in one, we call it other people's penis for the men or for the women, other people's punani for the guys, and other people's property to be safe.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Ben Rock. I mean, I throughout the years I've always listened to the song, I've always knew the meaning, but I always said to myself, what does O.P.P. stand for? And now I'm sitting back and it's like, damn man, I really should have realized that. Other people's property, the song's about other people's wives and girlfriends and boyfriends, and it's just like, oh god. I'm shaking my head over here because I realized I should have known that.
I know, it's the ultimate entanglement record. But, hey, that's the song that keeps on giving because our people, you know, especially younger people, they always hear rumors about what it means, but they always want to get the confirmation from the group themselves. So no matter what they think it may mean, you know, they're never convinced until they hear it directly from us.
And, you know, and also, aside from the music side of things, yourself, Tretch, and DJ KG actually appeared in the movie, in the 1993 film, The Meteor Man. I have to ask you, sorry, you guys actually played a street gang. I have to ask you, how did you guys land that role, and what was it like actually just being on set of that movie?
I know. Well, back then, again, we were signed to Flavor Unit Management, which is Queen Latifah's management company, and, you know, her and Shoutouts, as our managers, they always wanted us to have diverse careers. So some of the stuff, you know, like acting, you kind of test it out and see who would take to it. So Tretch really took to the acting. KG never really liked acting. KG nor myself never really liked it acting, but we definitely went out for that role. And, hey, it was an OG directing that and producing that film, Robert Townsend. So, you know, we locked in with him. We got on set. And all I remember, man, is that, oh, my goodness, it was a whole hurry up and wait situation. We waited around for so long in our trailers. I remember just as I'm falling asleep, they call us and say, all right, time to go on set. And then we'll film for a minute and return back to the, you know, trailer and sit around forever. I was like, oh, my goodness, this is an unpleasant experience. But I know actors get paid well, but I definitely don't have an appetite for that situation, you know?
And it's also different, you know, going from music to the acting side of things, you know, especially because when you're in the studio, you're pretty much on your own time, on your own money, right? So you guys can go in there and work as however hard you want to, but with movies, you got to wait around on other people to bring you to the set. So I can kind of see why, you know, some artists aren't really up for that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even Drake said it himself. You know, Drake began as an actor, and he said it himself. He was like, man, that acting world was too slow. So he had to pick up the pace, and he did it with the music. And you're right. With music, I mean, you basically call all of your own shots from the studio, how you work in the studio. Of course, you have certain, you know, deadlines you want to submit if you're signed to a label, you know. You have certain deadlines and timelines you want to make, but pretty much you get to run your own show. Even with touring, I mean, besides the call times to get on stage, I mean, you get to create your own set, your own sound, your own stage design. design, and, you know, you really run your own show. But, you know, with acting, you're at the mercy of the studio or the production crew, and you really are on lockdown and at someone else's call.
And also, in 1995, yourself, along with the rest of Naughty by Nature, your guys' album, Poverty's Paradise, actually won a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. I have to ask you, how does it feel to be a Grammy Award-winning artist? And of course, what was it like just being up there, like accepting your award and hearing your names being called?
I know. It was very, very exciting because, again, we've been working at this since the 80s, you know, the mid-80s, and it happened in the mid-90s. So, actually, the previous year for our second album, 1983, we were nominated, but we lost to Will Smith. HipHop Hooray was going up against Will Smith's Summertime. So we lost that Grammy award that year. But then the third year, our third album in 1995, we were nominated again, and we were going head-to-head against Bone Thugs and Harmony, Crossroads. So we actually won, man, and it was a great feeling. Unfortunately, back then, the Grammys didn't respect hip-hop music as a ballad, you know, music genre. So they never aired our category. And as a matter of fact, when we arrived at the ceremony, we were doing a red carpet just going into the venue, and that's how we found out we won. So it really wasn't even a part of the ceremony. It was one of those awards given out just as a sidebar. So what we did is, you know, when we walked by the auditorium, after coming off the red carpet, we just stuck our heads in the auditorium and yelled, "Ah, yeah, we won!" You know, and kept it moving because we had to do, you know, post-award press afterwards. So as I recollect, we never even sat in the auditorium to, you know, see or experience the Grammy ceremony. We just arrived, got on the red carpet, found out we won, stuck our head in the auditorium, and went backstage to do press just to celebrate the announcement.
And I do want to say, Vinrock, I really am sorry that happened to you, man. Because like even back then, when your careers were like you guys were just fresh on the scene, you know, only a couple years, but you guys deserve your flowers even then because that first Naughty by Nature record was phenomenal with Uptown Anthem, O.P.P. Everything's Gonna Be Alright. Everything you guys touched turned into pure gold, man. So I do want to say my apologies that didn't happen. That didn't happen for you guys, man, because you guys deserve your flowers, man, even then and most definitely even now.
Well, I mean, you know, to the Grammys' credit, you know, as reluctant as they were to accept hip-hop, you know, they've come along now. They have Jimmy Jam on their board, MC Light is on their board, so they're definitely a lot more friendly now, and they respect the culture. You know, so it happens. I mean, it's evolution. You know, everything happens for a reason. But we're happy. We're blessed to be here. 2021 is our 30th anniversary, so we're definitely, you know, blessed and lucky to be here 30 years later. And we have a lot planned for 2021, so we'll still be in the mix.
And also, aside from you yourself being a performer and an artist, you actually had the opportunity, to produce for Eazy-E's Only If You Want It Clan Mix. I have to ask you, what was it like working with the late, great Eazy-E? And of course, how did you land that production job with Eazy-E and Ruthless?
Yeah, Eazy-E, man, he's definitely a legend. And once again, back then we were signed to Flavor Unit Management, so Queen Latifah and Shakim, you know, they were heavy on the West Coast. So they had office space set up there. Latifah was just beginning to do a lot of television and film work, and they had a relationship with Eazy-E. And at the time, Eazy-E, you know, NWA was falling apart, Ruthless Records was falling apart, Dr. Dre left, and they were just setting up Death Row, and they got away from Eazy-E. So Eazy started working with a lot of different artists on the East Coast, similar to what, you know, Ice Cube did when he broke away from NWA, and he started working with Hank Shockley and the Bomb Squad from Public Enemy's camp. So Eazy-E, you know, between Queen Latifah and Shakim, made the connection with Naughty by Nature. He came out to the East Coast. We started working. KG produced it. Trench got in there, was writing with him. And, man, we, you know, he shared a lot of stories with us. about how NWA came up and what was going on. I remember going to his home in Calabasas, and he showed us Dre's home in Calabasas, Jerry Ellis' home in Calabasas back then. That was long before the Kardashians moved out there. So it was really a great learning experience, and I'm so proud to have had that moment with Eazy-E, and he did the cameo in our HipHop Parade video for us. So big up to Eazy-E, and thanks for the love, man, and thanks for, those jewels he dropped on us during that time.
And that's the one reason why I really wanted to bring up that production side of things, because like I know I like I said, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a huge fan of your guys. So like I listen to a lot of your guys' interviews. I always listen to your guys' music. So I always knew that you did some production for Eazy and Ruthless, but I haven't really heard a lot of interviewers bring it up. Like I've heard a few, but just not very many. So I knew I really had to bring that up, just let my listeners know, like, hey, Vinrock isn't just East Coast. Like he actually went to the West as well and actually to put in some work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and even in our career, when we first came out, because we were bi-coastal by way of Flavor Unit, people, the cats on the West Coast knew we weren't from the West Coast, but people everywhere around thought we were from the West Coast. You're like, nah, we're from the East Coast, man. And, it was good to have that bi-coastal feel and vibe about us. And we were instrumental, especially when the whole East Coast, West Coast war thing broke out. We were instrumental in, communicating with both sides.
And the one thing I do want to ask is because I notice in your, and I know we're taking it back a little bit here, but with the music video Uptown Anthem, you actually had Tupac actually in your guys' video, kind of like in the background and whatnot. I have to ask you, like, I know Tretch was best friends with Tupac, but I have to ask you, like, what was it like actually just being around Tupac and just, being in that music video with him?
Yeah, Tupac, man, we were all coming up together. Again, when we first signed the Flavor Unit management, Queen Latifah was off and running, and she actually took Tretch on tour with her because at the time, Flavor Unit couldn't afford to take all three of us out on the road, but we were street kids, and they knew Tretch was most vulnerable, so they took him out on tour with Queen Latifah, and she was touring with Heavy D, Public Enemy, and Digital Underground, and Tupac was touring and traveling with Digital Underground. So Tupac was a dancer and roadie for Digital Underground, and Tretch was just strictly a roadie for Queen Latifah. So that's how they both met up out there on that tour. So when they came home, we finished up our album. Tupac had an initial album, but he landed the role in Juice, the movie Juice. And also Tretch tried out for the movie Juice, and Queen Latifah had a role in the movie Juice. So when Pac, they finished the tour, Pac was out here in New York, up in Harlem, filming the movie, and Tretch and I used to go out and hang out with Pac, on set while he was filming. So I remember hanging out with Pac and being in his movie trailer, and one of the PAs came and opened his trailer door and was like, Pac, we're ready for you, so be ready in a few minutes. She just walked away and never closed the trailer door. So Pac stuck his head out the trailer and was like, hey, what do you think this is, Hawaii? It's cold out here. Close my door next time. He was joking with her, So we had great times with Pac, and then lo and behold, we landed the song Uptown Anthem off the Juice soundtrack, and we had Pac do a cameo in the video. So yeah, that's how that relationship began, and Pac again, he was another great one, man. He took off, his career took off, and we ended up having a great relationship with him.
And I heard a rumor as well pertaining to the Juice movie that I believe it was like Tretch. He actually auditioned for Tupac's role, and Tupac wasn't even there to audition. It just so happened that Pac did it and got the role.
Yeah, well, yeah, because again, we were signed to Flavor Unit management. Latifah had already landed her role, and Tretch was catching the acting bug. So Flavor Unit had Tretch actually audition for that role of Bishop. And Tretch, he was just fresh off the streets. He never knew anything about acting. He wasn't a seasoned actor, didn't have any acting classes. And as he recalled, he went in and he was just reading the lines verbatim off the paper. And he said he remembered when Pac auditioned, he could hear Pac just push the paper to the side, and he memorized the lines. He had so much energy. He was knocking over chairs and everything, and he was really into character. and Pac, had experience because he was in a performing arts school, and they did a lot of acting. So he was definitely more prepared, more deserving of the role, and Pac landed the role.
And also, jumping ahead a little bit here, also on June 11th, 2011, Naughty by Nature became the first hip hop group to ever perform at baseball stadium Fenway Park. I have to ask you, how does it feel for you guys to be the first people to actually perform in a stadium in your home state of New Jersey?
Well, that was actually, Fenway is in Boston, and that was because of our big homie Donnie Wahlberg. So all of that happened because of our collaboration with New Kids on the Block. So we've always known Donnie Wahlberg, the New Kids on the Block, and even Mark Wahlberg from the early 90s. Our first encounter was when we were touring in London. And then fast forward in 2010, when New Kids on the Block was firing up their group again, Donnie called us out to Radio City Music Hall. We came out there, surprised his fans, and then he did another invite because New Kids on the Block and the Backstreet Boys were announcing a tour. So they had a major show in their hometown, New Kids' hometown of Boston at Fenway Park, and they invited us to come out again. So once we came out and performed, Donnie told us, you know what? You just made history, man. You're the first rap group to perform in Fenway Park. So that was another milestone for us. And, big up Donnie Wahlberg, man, and New Kids on the Block. Those are our homies. We just come off a major tour last year in 2019, the mixtape tour with New Kids on the Block, Selftitled, Naughty by Nature, Tiffany, and Debbie Gibson. Man, we set records, man. It was a 10-week tour, over 600,000 tickets sold, over $50 million gross, and it was, their biggest tour to date since reuniting as New Kids on the Block. So we're really proud of that.
And also, Naughty by Nature was guests on LL Cool J's lip sync battle when it was before O.P.P. was performed with Samina Wally, and also another episode, Kathy Bates performed HipHop Hooray. I have to ask you, what was the experience like being on that show, and what did you think of both of those individuals' performances?
Yeah, we met the young lady who was on Orange is the New Black. As a matter of fact, my girlfriend was just watching Orange is the New Black last night. I was like, oh my goodness, that's the girl, we did the lip sync battle with. So she was a huge fan of us, and it was an honor, for her to work with us that day. And yeah, that show was awesome. So for us to come out and surprise the audience, it was great. And then to have the legendary Miss Kathy Bates rock out for our song Hip Hop Hooray, that was just legendary in itself, man. So big up to LL Cool J and Lip Sync Battle for using our two songs and having two very talented people, perform our songs for us and with us. It was great.
And most definitely, like Sabrina, I remember that episode. I remember watching that on TV when it first came out, and I got to say, she had the whole Tretch get up nailed. I mean, damn. I'm like, if Tretch was a woman, no offense to Tretch if you're listening,
right.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, she was definitely ready with the wardrobe.
And also, I got to ask this. Back in 2018, I believe, you guys performed at Blues Fest in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, which is only about a 40-minute drive away from where I'm at. I have to ask you, what was it like actually just being in Canada and performing? And of course, do you guys have any Canadian tour dates kind of set in stone, after COVID-19?
Well, Blues Fest was awesome. I believe it rained hard that day. I'm not sure if that was the same one, but we have a huge history with Canada, and I do remember Blues Fest, man. That was incredible energy out there. But again, our history with Canada, I mean, that was one of the first markets we hit in '91, and we found out about O.P.P, Ontario Provincial Police. So that was a big thing. And we had one of our first rock star moments up in Canada when O.P.P was out and red hot, and we went to a mall to do a in-store signing at a record store. I mean, there was so many kids out there. They just ransacked the whole mall. We had to be rushed out of there, and that was a moment. But we have a lot of love for Canada. And right now, there are no post-COVID-19 dates, but I guess as things get better and we get into 2021, we will be loading up a lot of tour dates. Our management just called us about a potential European tour later this year. So we'll see what's going on, and we'll definitely be back out there, because after this lockdown, I'm sure a lot of people really assess their freedom. You know what I mean? Like, wow, man, we take it for granted just being free to go out and eat and have leisure time and go to concerts and just go and hang with our friends. So I know once things get back to whatever the new normal is, people will be out there in droves and really enjoying life again.
And I'm gonna say, Vin Rock, I've tried to see you guys in concert about 5 different times here in Canada, but you know what I mean? It's always like one of those things, your ride cancels or something happens, you know what I mean? Or tickets are sold out. But I'm telling you, when you guys hit Canada again, I'm ready. I got the cash on deck, so expect DJ Immortal to actually be front and center for a Naughty by Nature show. Because I gotta say, as a huge fan, it's well overdue.
Yeah, when you get there, man, we gotta get you backstage and get you on stage so you can watch a Naughty show from the on stage perspective and see what we see. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I gotta say, I'm not gonna say no to that, but I gotta tell you the absolute truth here, Vin Rock. You will see a white boy just pass the fuck out. I'm sorry for swearing, but you will see me bone gun. You'd be like, yo, where's the white boy? And he's out.
Exactly. That'll be fun.
Hey, man, as long as I wake up before you guys leave, you know what I mean? That's all I gotta say. But
yeah, we'll get you up. We'll get you up.
Someone called the smelling salts. We're in Canada. There's a lot of hockey rinks around, so get some smelling salts. I'll be all right.
Right, exactly.
And also, last year in 2019, you guys released a phenomenal record. I gotta say, you actually hit us fans like hit us with that record, man. Like I wasn't even expecting it, but Illtown Sluggers. And the one thing I do gotta ask is, and I do want to say I'm sorry because you probably got asked this a lot, but I noticed yourself and KG was on the cover, but Tretch wasn't on it, but he was throughout the whole record. If you don't mind me asking, like, what's the story behind the cover? And of course, what was it like actually just doing that record, Illtown Sluggers?
Yeah, well, what it is that KG and I decided to do a new music venture called Slugger Music, which is a new record label. KG, he loves developing and breaking new artists. So back in the day, he produced R&B greats like Next, Janae, Jaheim, and they were all signed to major record labels. So now we're in a digital age where those major record labels, it doesn't make sense, especially if you have a big platform and a big following like a Naughty by Nature. So, even for Naughty, we would never sign to a major record label again. So KG in that, loving to work with different artists and new artists and break new artists, he and I decided to get together and we formed this Slugger Music record label. So it's a record label and artist management platform. And we're working with a ton of new artists and just giving them a platform to pay it forward just the way Queen Latifah helped us out. So we have that side, and then with us is Naughty by Nature. Tretch, K, and I are still on deck. We're in the studio now working on new music for our 2021 30th anniversary celebration. So, with K and I doing the independent legwork on the Illtown Sluggers side, it's going to make it easier for Naughty by Nature to have a platform to put out new music in 2021. So pretty much that's what it's all about. And on the Illtown Sluggers side, we have a 17-year-old girl named Miss Nicole Michelle. She has a couple of singles out, Whatever I Want and Phenomenon. We just shot a new single and video on her called Alert. So that'll be happening. We have a guy, Ryan Lane, a song called Forever. He's doing incredible with that song. And, man, we have a ton more records coming up right now. So look out for Illtown Sluggers. Look out for new Naughty by Nature music coming up this year and in 2021. And we're definitely taking advantage of this downtime in COVID, so we don't have to tour as much, which is a good thing. And it gives us the time to double and triple down on studio time and get some new music in the can. So when things open up, we'll be servicing the people with definitely new hot music.
And also, not too long ago, in August, on August 11th, you were actually part of a Black Lives Matter Artist Speak virtual event. I have to ask you, what was that experience like? And of course, what was the outcome?
Well, it was just a discussion about what's going on right now. I mean, that Black Lives Matter movement, I hear, and I was critical on during the conversation. So I hear that it's backed by the Democratic Party, but, I mean, you have to. There's an onslaught. I mean, we have to be real. There's an onslaught, of violence, police violence, and even black-on-black crime in America. It's black-on-black crime, and then the violence with unarmed blacks getting killed by the police. So you have to have some kind of organization, someone step up and give a voice to the voiceless. So during that conversation, we had multiple opinions, multiple, people speaking to the fact. And, it all starts with dialogue, and then from there you take action. But, at this time, man, it's really unfortunate that we're in a climate and we have a political climate that's so divisive right now. I haven't seen anything like this in all of my about to be 50 years this month. So I've never seen a climate like this. I've heard about it in the 60s and the 50s and prior, but, I'm a 70s, 80s baby. Most of that civil rights, movement and marches, Dr. Martin Luther King, that happened before my birth. So right now, we're in an unfortunate climate, a very divisive climate. And I think because of hip-hop and hip-hop culture, the impact that it's had all over the world, I think we have a common ground in a lot of people just having hip-hop and hip-hop culture as a common bond. So I don't believe all people are racist. I don't believe all people are, just that ignorant. I think that it's time for all of us to double down and triple down on just the unity conversation, because we're all on this one landmass and we have to share and we have to, get along, man. And people who are trying to rip us apart and divide us, they're just miserable people, and we can't let the minority, dictate to the masses and tear the masses apart and have us picking sides where there are no sides to be picked. We're all, we're all one. We're all one people.
And so, Vinrock, I have to ask you, like, other than the new Naughty by Nature work, the Illtown Sluggers label, but I have to ask you, what is next for you? Is there anything else you want to promote? Anything else you want to let our live listeners know? Will we still have you here live on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM?
Yeah, well, for me at this point, being 50 years old, I think I'm more in the space of paying it forward. And with all of our experience in the music industry and between personal experiences, personal business experiences, and our professional experiences, I do want to create more of a platform where I get to share, because I have the Uncle Vinny moniker now, and people come to me. I'm known for being a businessman. I'm known for being hands-on and political. So in that arena and in that space, just sharing knowledge and sharing experiences and helping others, paying all of this experience forward are platforms I'm looking to participate in more. And especially because of COVID, you never know when the next pandemic is going to happen and we can't tour. So I'm looking to do more television and film productions and, just do that. So me personally, be on the lookout for that. And, just spread good vibes and a lot of unity out here. We need it. We need people to step up and not be so, controversial and adversarial. But the bottom line is I think it's more psychological warfare than anything. So my thing is the cup is always half full, and let's not concentrate so much on the negative. Let's concentrate on the positive.
And so, Vinrock, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that comes on my radio station, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, and of course, if you can, drop them social media handles. That way our listeners, can follow you if they're not already doing so, but you're Vinrock of Naughty by Nature, so I really do hope they are already following you.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, there's always people who aren't following, so that's what I love. The beauty of this thing 30 years later, there's people who don't know you, they're not familiar with your work, and that's what keeps everything exciting. You find new audience, you find new people, and you welcome them to your wall. And with that being said, you could start at www.naughtybynature.com. That's where the house is, all of the house of Naughty by Nature. Then in there, you'll find all of our social media handles. So On Twitter, it's simple. It's at Naughty by Nature. On Instagram, it's at Naughty by Nature, the number 4 ever. And then on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Naughty by Nature. Me personally on Instagram is at Uncle Vin Rock. That's at Uncle VINROCK. So once again, if that's too confusing, just go to naughtybynature.com and it'll point you right to all of our collective and individual social media handles. And as far as shout-outs, man, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for showing us so much love and support. And I'm sure you bang our records every time you DJ and when you rap on your radio show and wherever you go. So thanks to all of the people out there in Ottawa for rocking with us ever since 1991. And, man, get ready, y'all, because 2021 we'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary. So we have a lot of music, merchandise, new documentaries with Flavor Unit we're working on. So tons of new content to celebrate our 30 years in hip-hop. Be on the lookout.
And I gotta say, Vin Rock, before I let you go, man, thank you so much for years. I mean, years upon years of music. Me personally, I had a really rough upbringing, and Naughty by Nature was always there to bring me back up to 100%, man. Your music had such a positive influence on me, so thank you.
All right. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for rocking out with us. And we're glad our music, man, can help you and tons of others through trying times. I mean, good and bad times. So that's the power of music. So thank you.
Most definitely, Vin Rock. Have yourself a wonderful night, and excuse me, most definitely stay safe out there during this terrible pandemic.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, brother.